All right. Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the Blurred Lines podcast. Now, this might look a little bit strange because I was supposed to have paranormal expert and podcaster Scott Wise with us tonight, but unfortunately had to reschedule. Don't know if it was due to paranormal activity or what, but that's okay because we have lots to talk about. But before we get into all of that stuff, I want to start out by giving a big time shout out to my sponsors, which, first off, I want to say a big shout out to Black Label Chronometers. Black Label Chronometers, headed up by Ryan Babb. Ryan Babb makes amazing clocks, amazing custom clocks, actually. And what he will do is he will take an old record, all right, and he will customize it to you. So, I'm a comic, so he found an old comedy album, and I asked him to make a clock for my show, right? And if you look behind me, right there, that sexy little clock right there, he does a phenomenal job, and it doesn't matter what idea you give him, he will make it better. And it's handcrafted. He hand cuts everything. So, and his prices are amazing. But if that weren't enough, if you use the code Shank15, that's SHANK15, he will give you a bit of a discount on it, and you will get an amazing clock. So check out Black Label Chronometers. You can find them on Facebook. You can find them online. Just tell them Sean sent you. All right. Also check out myvive.com. That's myvyv.com. Also Meat So Horny. The guys over at MSH Nation make some of the best spices in the world. It takes your cooking to an entire, just different stratosphere. It's amazing. I have no idea what they put in this stuff. Honestly, I think there must be some alien technology or something. It's amazing. So check out msh.com, MSH Meat So Horny Nation. All right. Also want to give a big shout out to Redemption Brand Cannabis. Now, what is Redemption Brand Cannabis? Well, here's the thing, guys. I have another podcast. It's called Sean Shank Redemption Podcast. And I partnered with these folks because it's not like I'm huge into the pot, but what I do appreciate is people that fight for justice. Okay. And I'm not talking, go broke type, justice warrior type stuff. I'm talking like actual justice. And what does that mean? Well, the founder of Redemption Cannabis used to distribute medical marijuana to folks, people that needed the help, right? And admittedly, my own mom, when she was diagnosed with cancer, we got her into cannabis, because it helped with the pain and everything else. Those treatments are terrible. I mean, that chemotherapy, they're pumping poison into your body, right? So we did it for my mom. Well, this guy was, distributing medical cannabis, and he got sent to jail for almost 5 years, like 5 years of his life gone because he was doing something to help people, something I have hand experience with. So when he got out, he decided, I'm going to start a cannabis brand that fights for people that are put in jail for these petty charges, right? There's so many other crimes that, like, if you just look at the state of the nation nowadays, there's so many petty crimes and things or big crimes out there that are going on that, people going into jail for possession is just the silliest thing in the world. All right. So what these folks do is 10% of every single sale, 10% of every sale goes to programs that, hire lawyers and fight to get people out of jail that have, gone in because of possession, not serious crimes and things like that, just for possession. So think about, if you have some needs of the marijuanas, go and check out Redemption Brand Cannabis. Okay. And if you happen to be in the Niles, South Bend, Michiana area, check out Green Stem provisioners, Green Stem Dispensaries up near Niles. They carry a Redemption brand, and they're just great people there. So, all right, those are all of my shout outs that I have for the evening. Now, Scott, when he was here, was going to share. I mean, we were going to talk it up about everything basically paranormal, right? Well, that's not happening tonight. So, we're going to talk about, I'm going to tell some paranormal stories, but there's some things that I think need addressed because Blurred Lines is all about conspiracy theories, things like that, right? Well, there's some shit. They say some. There is so much shit going on in the, I mean, like, okay, so I'll give you an example. And you may have met this guy when I went to Washington, D.C. I've been quite a few times, but the first couple times that I went, there was a guy that was on the steps of the Lincoln Memorial, and he had a sandwich board. And he, said JFK was not Oswald, and, this is going to happen. California's going to fall into the ocean, and on the back, too, he had all these things. And, like, literally, if I were to go to that guy's sandwich board right now, I could go there with a red marker and just check. Like all the shit is getting checked off recently. And I don't know, guys. Like, for those of you that are listening tonight, and those of you who will listen or watch this later on down the road, what do you think? Like, looking around at the landscape, it's not just in the United States. I mean, I'm talking about around the world. There's a lot of shit going on that even if you weren't a Bible believing Christian, there's a lot of stuff that just like smacks of, end times, revelations type stuff. But the one thing I want to start with, though, is just the feeling that everything is off. If you take away, like, not even thinking about the news cycle, right? Assassination attempts and, the corruption and, weird fake solar eclipses and fake suns and all this craziness that's going on. Everything just feels off. I have talked to so many people about this. I've got so many friends that, I've had discussions with. And, I want to ask you guys too, like, do you just feel like everything's off? Like time is off, it's sped up. And I know that as we get older, there's like this natural inclination towards, things seeming like they speed up because the older you get, the shorter time seems like, but like, I don't almost like an appreciable amount of time. It feels like we're losing time. And the way I was explaining to I have a friend of mine, her name's Chantel. We were talking about this the other day. And I said, I feel like I'm living in a fishbowl. And it's not a health issue. It's not, my eyes are goobered up. I've had multiple eye surgeries. I don't know if I've even talked about it on this podcast before. I've had multiple eye surgeries. And my eyes aren't the best. But that's not what I'm talking about. I feel like when I'm sitting in the world and looking around, and it's almost like everything has this fake matrixy kind of, it just doesn't feel real anymore. Hey, what's up, Jukebox Ginger? All right, how you doing, Jukebox? Good to see you. Glad you're listening. The man, all the stuff with 1 million podcasts under his belt. I'll tell you what's up. The world is falling apart, my friend. Quicker than my spine after a bad night's sleep. But yeah, it feels like it's just, I don't know. It's almost like I feel like I could reach out and touch everything, and a fake clear wall would just, So that's the biggest thing that I have noticed as of late, where I don't know. I know what it feels like now. I know what I was trying to put to words. It's like when you're a kid, all right, think back to elementary school and middle school, all right, in high school. And when you were at swim, for PE, and the PE teacher, the coach, whoever was running it, took those big rubber covered bricks and would toss them into the water, and you would jump in after it, right? And you're supposed to bring it up, but you would grab it, and then you would hold it to your chest, and you would walk right along the bottom of the pool. That's what this feels like anymore. Like inside, outside, doesn't matter. If it feels like we're walking through water, it's the strangest thing, right? So that's the first thing that I have noticed about the world, all right, and what's going on. But, the next thing I've noticed is it sure seems like a lot of conspiracy theories are becoming just facts, right? I don't know how many of my fellow, and remember, I call us dot connectors now. How many of our dot connectors now are just, 50 and 0, 60 and 0, whatever the tally is. But it's just like, we've talked for years about California sliding off into the sea. It's so trite and tropish that it's, it right. It's fucking happening. Okay, it is happening. I don't know if you're not aware. Okay, Southern California, they have towns now that are literally cracking and falling off into the ocean. All right. Most of them have been facts for a while. People are just prefer staying ignorant. 100% agree, man. From Jukebox, stating that they've been facts for a while. Most people choose to remain. Of course they do. It's just like Morpheus said in the first Matrix. People are so addicted to, so unnerved with the system that they will do anything, right, to keep it as is. Like, look, man, I actually did a TikTok of this the other day. I said that it's unfortunate because I know so many people that I'm close with that are finally starting to kind of like get to that point in life where like I teach at a couple colleges, I'm traveling all over the world doing stand up, like I'm kind of hitting that thing where it's like, I feel like I'm kind of a success, right? My boy Jukebox, he's got this network. He's got, like I say, he's got 1 million podcasts. He's grown success. A lot of my friends in comedy are really starting to hit their stride. And it's like all this stuff is happening right as it seems like this end time shit is really starting to ramp up. So no, I don't want this stuff to happen. This doesn't excite me. I think one of the big mistakes people make about people that notice these things, and we point this stuff out. You're like, oh, you're happy that this stuff's in. Not at all. I don't see people hurt. I don't want to see my life affected. I don't want to lose like this stuff that I've spent a lifetime building, right? But regardless, it's happening. All right. So anyway, California sliding off into the damn ocean. And the thing that's particularly maddening about this is it's not just California. There have been shifts in the fault lines up and down the entire West Coast. As a matter of fact, there was a TikToker that was, I believe it was, he was either Montana or Utah. All right. And this guy took a video of one of the roads on his ranch. And his roadway was like this, right, in the original video. But then he said, this is what it looks like now. And it literally had shifted like 8 feet. And it wasn't like a split like this. I mean, it was literally a lateral move this way where it pulled away from it. And he kept adding videos, right? His account just disappears, gets totally wiped. His account disappears, gets totally wiped. And not only does he get wiped, but now he's gone. Guy just ups and vanishes like a fart in the wind. He's just gone, right? So, and again, we'll talk about conspiracies. This is one of the reasons, and I've heard this before from many other sources, that this is one of the reasons that the American Congress was so hot to get rid of TikTok, because we're getting actual news and reports from around places, and it happens so fast that the folks can't regulate it. And this news will get out, and then all of a sudden it'll get banned or it'll disappear, right? And it's unfortunate because people get hurt, right, when this information doesn't get out. But that doesn't matter to the people that, the them that's in charge and in power, right? So anyway, these cracks and ground shifts and everything, and he showed other videos too, where it wasn't just the shifting this way, right, on the solid plane. He would show great trenches that had opened up for like hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of feet, right? All right. The downside of social media is how easy it is for them to track you. Oh, absolutely. Absolutely, brother. Yeah, they do track you via social media, but you know what the thing is? They've got all of us pegged. Like every one of us. You think, I knew as soon as I started doing blurred lines and started talking about this stuff, I know I'm on a list somewhere. I've got friends that are very close to me that have been banned from Facebook and Insta and everything because they keep reporting on stuff like this and their accounts keep getting banned. Right. And if you think for God's sake, a political opponent of Kamala Harris, Tulsi Gabbard, had the audacity, to be an opponent of Kamala Harris. And all of a sudden she got into a secret no-fly list for no reason. Just all of a sudden she's a domestic terrorist concern, right? If you ever ask yourself the question, would my government do this? Yes, the fuck they absolutely would. Okay. So yeah, this guy disappearing, not unfortunately, unless he pops back up, and I really hope he does. I think this guy's gone, right? Or they disappeared him hard enough and threatened him that he's keeping his head down. But so they've been having what they call swarm earthquakes. Now, for those of you that don't, we have a cat in the yard. Okay. For those of you study of like seismology, geology, things like that, swarm earthquakes or cluster earthquakes are not a good sign. Okay. They are generally a harbinger of worse things to come. All right. If you watch the movie San Andreas, the one with The Rock, right? And Paul Giamatti was in that, and he played a scientist. I think it was like UNLV or UCLA or something like that. And he was tracking the things, and he started noticing the swarm earthquakes. He said, this is not good. This means something much worse is coming. Same, it's just art imitating life. They said the same thing in, oh my God, Dante's Peak, the one with Pierce Brosnan, which excellent film, by the way. It's just, some people will say that, the elites have to let us know that things are coming, right? So that's why that stuff is out there in the real world for us to see, because then karmically, they avoid that blemish on their soul, right? But anyway, I digress. So these swarm earthquakes are hitting, and if you just go search TikTok, search Insta, search Reddit, there are plenty of pictures still out there coming out of California where there are just cracks and fissures opening up everywhere. They have whole towns that they have shut utilities down to, right? State of emergency has been declared. Like, California something is coming. Not to mention, and this may be something you're not aware of, and this is where we start to get into like kind of a little bit of the theological aspect of stuff. There's a guy, all right, from Georgia, and he's a black gentleman, and he woke up at it was like 4 a.m. in the morning or something. He said he got a message from God. Told him to go out to California. The guy got some T-shirts made that basically say evacuate California. time to leave, get out, right? And so he's going up and down the coast and going through the towns, and he's screaming, he's pleading, he's begging for people to get out. They're not going to tell you to get out. Something's coming, a tsunami's coming, a tsunami coming. He keeps, that's like the big refrain. It's not just that the earthquakes are going to get him and that it's, you know, sliding into the ocean, like literally, but that a major disaster is going to hit. Now, here's something that I want you guys to consider. All right, think about this. And again, this goes back to the dot connecting thing. All right, and I really want you to think about this. I would say that all of the businesses in San Francisco, right, and places like that, that left, right, you know, some of the, like the Fisherman's Wharf, that just places that have been around forever are now shuttered. Now, you could say that it was because of bad business. It was because of COVID. It's because of, you know, crime, you know, the proliferation of crime in the area, right? So those are all, I mean, and those are all fair reasons, all right, for those businesses to close. But here's something to think about. And again, this goes back to the connecting dots. What if these businesses, all right, and we know that corporations and the government are hand in hand, they're tied together at the hip, you know, they make all kinds of moves together. If not, look it up, all the holds of BlackRock and Vanguard and all the stuff that they control, okay? But what if all of these businesses that are tied to the government got some beforehand information? Now, Sean, what could you mean by beforehand information? Well, let me explain. As an example, beforehand information, like say Nancy Pelosi and her amazing stock portfolio, you know, she's just a genius when it comes to picking stocks, because it just seems that before something takes a big jump on the stock market or before it absolutely crashes out as a stock, she knows how to make moves to get the maximum amount of profit. There are whole websites dedicated to that, alcoholics stock choices. And whenever she makes a stock pick, choice, move, whatever, those sites are dedicated to what she does, and people follow it so they can make money too, which answers the question, you know, how do you go in as a public servant making 160,000 a year and somehow end up with net worths of 50, 60 million? Public speaking, really? No. All right. Well, yeah. Yeah, these big businesses invest in the government. Why wouldn't they give them a heads up? Absolutely. Well, that's the thing. That's the thing. That's what I firmly believe, that they did give them a heads up. They want to call it whatever they want to, and that's an excellent point. They want to call it whatever you want to, but I really feel like they're saying you need to get the fuck out of Dodge. You need to leave California because it's going to get decimated. And so all of a sudden you see these, you know, businesses are pulling up stakes and they're leaving. And you know, like Pelosi's district, it's just been literally left to seed, right? It's just going to pot. And if you're in power and you have no concern for your constituents, the people that are there, you know, if they are just ants to you, right? You're just going to let them languish. You're going to let them suffer, because eventually this thing is coming and is going to wipe out the place anyway. So why not just, you know, let them tear it apart? Why not make rules like, oh, I don't know, how about theft up to, I think, what is it, $950 is not prosecuted anymore? So now all these people are stealing from these businesses, and now these businesses are justified in saying, you know what, yeah, we're getting the fuck out of here, right? So now all these businesses have left these major concerns that they've had, and they get to claim insurance on all this stuff, right? So there's one thing that, you know, I would look at and say these people had some foreknowledge, right? And it's been stacking, like they know something coming soon, right? So there's some foreknowledge. Another thing is insurance companies in California, by and large, are stopping the writing of insurance for homes, homeowners insurance. They won't do the policies anymore. Now, insurance companies live and die on the policies that they write. And even in areas that have risk, the premiums are higher, but they'll still write them. So why would these massive companies that are massive? I mean, they're nationwide, worldwide. All of a sudden, in one specific area, just say, no, we're not doing this anymore. Like, that is concerning, because when capitalist industries, and I am a fan of capitalism, when it's done right, I believe it helps the people, right? But when you have entire industries that look at a major money capture like insurance and walk away from it, dude, why aren't we screaming from the fucking rooftops? Why aren't people up in arms? Why aren't people losing their minds right now about all this stuff that's going on? So if you live in California, and if my voice is reaching out to you, if you can hear my voice out in California, right? Run if you can. Get out now. I know that people have been saying it for decades, centuries, whatever, as long as California's been around. People have been making predictions. Oh, excuse me. But again, this goes back to what I was talking about earlier at the beginning of the cast. Now it just feels real. It feels like everything's off. So you've got the whole California thing going on. Other things that you've got going on in this country that make it seem like a big bad is coming. What does Tool say? See you down in the Arizona Bay. Learn to swim. Well, the thing is, okay, so Jukebox asking about, essentially when this shift happens, right? And all of these earthquakes and things and the topography changes in this country. There are maps where they've suggested what this country is going to look like. The Great Lakes are going to empty out. And I mean, there's many, oh my God, there's so many versions where the lakes are going to, go straight down, curve off this way. They're going to cut a channel all the way to the Gulf of Mexico, which is a bit frightening too, because one of the biggest fault lines in this country, I mean, everybody talks about San Andreas and it's being scary right now. Let's be honest, right? But the New Madrid fault line is incredibly frightening. And if you've lived in the Midwest for any length of time, you felt earthquakes here. And the reason New Madrid is so scary is because geologists, seismologists, people that pay attention to this stuff, with San Andreas, it's always been a thing of not if, but when, right? We know it's coming. And it's not just coming, it's happening now. Like, it's happening fucking now. But New Madrid has the potential to, because there's so much suppressed energy there, that the potential for, just the exponential release of energy is massive for the New Madrid. And I remember as a kid one time I was sitting there, I wasn't even a kid. I was a teenager. I was like 16. I was sitting on the floor, cross-legged, just watching TV. And I remember the house shook so bad, I rocked back and forth like a metronome. And I remember I called my parents at work and I asked them if they felt it. And they were like, yeah, absolutely. We did. When I was in my late 20s, I was working in a steel factory, and they made, well, not steel factory, they manufactured things with steel. And I remember sitting in my chair, and my desk, everything shook around me. And I remember I had my boss and his supervisor were sitting right next to me. And I said, "Did you guys feel that? Did you see that?" And they're like, "You're crazy. You're just feeling stuff." There is a disconnect, a cognitive dissonance when stuff like this happens that's so out of the ordinary. Remember, I was talking about how with the Matrix, when I said everybody's so enamored with the system that they will do and say anything to make it not real. Well, that's a perfect example. They were like, "There's no way. There's no way." I jump on the internet, I get on the news, for the area, and they had reported, I think it was like a 3 point something earthquake. And those two couldn't believe it. And I was like, "Guys, you were sitting right fucking here while it happened." And that's what's going on in this country right now. The earth is shaking around us, but so many of you are going, la, 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 or you're so wrapped up in so much other shit that you are allowing yourself not to see what's happening. All right. Okay. We got another comment here. I wonder if Yellowstone will blow. Oh, good God. The same time California snakes talk about it. Brother. Okay. So, yeah. Comment here said, if Yellowstone blows the same time California sinks, how catastrophic would that be? You're talking about an extinction level event. I mean, if the caldera of Yellowstone goes, and a lot of people don't know this, and sadly, there's been a lot of weird activity going on out in Yellowstone as of late. They had one of their geysers / hot springs just blew, like, I think it was called the Biscuit Basin too, if I'm not mistaken. Because there was a walkway, a wooden walkway that goes around it. And like, there were videos all over line where it was like, it showed the before, where people were, taking pictures and videos and everything. And you could see that something out of the ordinary was happening. And then kablooey. And then the aftermath, chunks of like the walkway were blown away, railing was scattered all over the place. I don't think anybody died, thankfully, gratefully. But those things are like pressure relief valves. I don't know if you guys understand that. Now, I make studies of this stuff because it fascinates me. Granted, I'm getting my PhD in psychology, but like I study these things. So like, but don't take my word for it. Do your own research. You said that at the beginning of the thing. Do your own research, right? This is all for entertainment purposes only. But those things are like pressure relief valves, right? So if the caldera in Yellowstone goes and it fully erupts, they've done some projections with that. And what would happen is because of the jet stream, which moves naturally from west to east, right? Which is why all the stuff comes off the ocean, the Santa Anas and all those things, brings all that lovely stuff, across the Midwest, and, creates allergies and all those wonderful things. But what would happen is the ash would be, I think it was like all the way out to even Iowa, would be feet thick on the ground. Now, it started to get out towards Michigan, Indiana, Ohio. It wouldn't be as devastating, but the winter that would come from that, the volcanic winter, would choke out all life. I mean, it would be very hard to breathe. Cars, planes would not be able to run because they just could not contend with the amount of ash and stuff that was coming through, like their filtration systems. And all of those things need air, for lack of a better term, they're cars and things like that are living, breathing entities because they eat, they breathe, so to speak. So yeah, if that thing went, like, man, like there might be some survivors for a while, but I would say kiss all of our asses goodbye. Um, and sadly, California might be the precursor to that. I'm not sure on the connectivity with that, but it's entirely possible. So, right, and that's just with the earthquakes and now adding Yellowstone to the picture, right? Then on top of that, we've got this election coming up, and what a cluster of fudge that has become already. Historic assassination attempt on former President Donald Trump. And amazingly enough, people are already saying, that it was faked. Marsha Warfield, as a matter of fact, has openly stated that she thinks it was like a blood pack or something like that. That it was faked for attention. It's crazy what's happening, and the thing is, people don't even notice it. Like there has been an easing of prices at the supermarket. There has been an easing at the gas pumps. It's been slight, but it's been happening. What's in the what do you say? Monkeypox outbreak? Oh, I forgot. Yeah. Thank you for reminding me of that. So the prices are going down, and people are like, "Oh my God, the prices are going down." Really? You're shocked? You're really shocked? You're really shocked? Are you kidding me? Prices going down before an election when they haven't been this entire time. They've been going up and up and up. And these corporations, the same ones that skedaddled out of California, have been recording record profits, people. Record profits across the board, right? Kroger just admitted, they stated, because they were trying to get enough money around that they could, I think they were going to like try to merge or buy Albertsons, but they didn't have enough money for the merger. So what did they do? They inflated their prices, and they said that they did it. They admitted it, people. All right. But now all of a sudden everything's magically going down. And the monkeypox and the triple E virus, I don't even know if you guys have heard that one. All right. That one's, slowly encroaching onto the land. People, I'm telling you, in school shootings, those are popping up like crazy. Didn't have a bunch of school shootings, weeks, months, nothing, right? But then all of a sudden, right before the election, right when people are seeing these and people are screaming for them to take away people's guns, that's happening. All of this stuff is happening before the election. You can't be surprised by this, guys. You can't be surprised by this. And then mysterious shit is happening, like in New York right now. National Guard has been called out. They've raided the New York Police Department chief's apartment, taking his phones and electronics. Right? They're trying to, and I think they've done it in Massachusetts and New Hampshire, if I'm not mistaken. But you'd have to check me on that one. But they're already shutting down schools in those areas and saying, "Oh yeah, all these cases are popping up everywhere," and they're doing it again. They're doing it again, guys. Now look, this is coming from, there was a time when I was a medical professional in the world. All right. I voluntarily worked on the front lines during the pandemic in a med bus in rural counties, direct contact, working with sick children, parents, grandparents. I took care of people that died during the pandemic. I was there for when they started scrubbing information. because I remember when the vaccine first came out and we got the informatics that came with it. I remember sitting there with one of the nurse practitioners, and we were literally going through it step by step and all the things that you shouldn't do, right? If you get the vaccine and all this other stuff. And then all of a sudden, the informatics sheets that were coming with the vaccines started coming out blank. And I remember she brought one to me and she goes, I'm not crazy, right? Like, we had all the information on that one that we had. I said, yeah, I remember sitting here on the steps reading it with you. But I was on the front line. I can say that. I was there. I saw the impact. All right. Felt it. Got the vids. All right. And now it's happening again. And you're trying to tell me that right before the election, right before the mailing in of ballots and all this other stuff and things that they control and stay at home orders and all that other shit that got us that last time. That, oh, Sean, it's just a coincidence. Are you fucking kidding me? Not to mention the fact that we have been inundated. Springfield, Ohio, look it up. Look what's going on there. Look at these people that are coming in by the thousands and squatting on people's lawns, and the cops are doing nothing. Proven that Venezuelan gangs have been taking over complexes and things, in different states. Happened in Colorado, happened in Illinois. Though, surprisingly, the people in Illinois, they were a fuck around and find out state. I didn't know that from the people from Illinois because they're a very blue state. But apparently, their bag of fucks is empty because they have no more to give. And they put a stop to that shit real quick, fast, and in a hurry. But you have all these folks coming in that, are causing discord and, very specifically, these huge amounts of people are being posted up in towns all around. And you have to wonder, it seems very much like a coordinated effort. Like, why would that be happening? That's the thing you get. If nothing else, ask yourself why. Why is this happening? Why are the majority of the folks that are coming here basically fighting age, like military age folks? Why is this going on? And then, you have there's so many things. If it was just one thing out of all of this stuff and not an aggregation of everything, you could say, it's just one thing, but it's all the things. All right. Putin has offered to Americans basically free pass. Come to Russia. Come to a place where we have great values and you'll be treated right. You won't have all this silly shit that you got going on in the country. Guess when the last time he did that was? Right before they invaded Ukraine. So there's yet another layer to the shit sandwich that we can add with all the stuff that's going on. So, got another one. Purple one being bust tomato. People are being major cities all over the U.S. Absolutely. Absolutely, without question. They are being bussed all over the place, but especially the cities. I think the thing that has been shocking to a lot of people is that it's starting to hit rural America. All right. But yeah, the cities have just been absolutely just overrun with folks. Now, you can scream to me, they're coming here for a better life and yada, yada, yada. If you're coming here for a better life, that's great. My Uncle Al did. It's one of my most favorite people in the entire world. Love my Uncle Al. Came from Mexico, immigrated legally, one of the best human beings I had ever had the pleasure and honor of knowing, right? I'm all for it. But if you're coming here, and committing crimes and doing things like that, you don't belong here. You don't belong anywhere. You belong in a prison, period. Now, all of that stuff is going on. Putin's inviting us to, come on over, right? Which makes me immediately go, all of my red flags are going off. Not my communist flags, not those, just red flags like, Danger Will Robinson, right? Chicago received 40,000 last year. 40,000. Do you understand that number? Do you understand that number as far as a mass of humanity? Do you understand what it takes to feed 40,000 people? And do you understand the amount of money that the government is giving to these folks? And this is a fact. These are facts. They're getting thousands of dollars, free housing vouchers. They're getting upwards of $3,000 to $4,000 a month for food, and many thousands more for other services. While Americans who have paid into the tax system forever are screaming for help, not getting it. So all of these things are going on at once, okay? And we're coming up on 50 minutes here, so I'm going to start. Is there a conclusion to this? The only conclusion that I had with this, I want to say a big shout out to Jukebox for throwing facts at me and sticking with me along the ride on this. But the conclusion is you folks need to open your eyes. You need to wake up. The time is now. All right. You know, even if you don't believe in the Bible, but you pick it up and crack it open, read, and it says in the end times there will be signs in the earth and in the skies. Good Christ. Do I have to number the amount of sightings and things? And now the government has even stated to us that, yeah, UFOs fucking exist. So much so, ladies and gentlemen, that they have distributed now to law enforcement agencies all across the nation pamphlets, right? Not pamphlets, books on what to do and how to deal with otherworldly entities coming down. Do you hear what I am saying, people? Do you hear what I'm saying? Do you hear the words coming out of my mouth? The government has distributed books to law enforcement agencies telling them how to deal with UFOs and space people. So take all of this, take every bit of it, collect it all into one big pile, all right? Not individual things. Look at everything together. Look at all of it and start doing the math. Stop using the phrase coincidence. It's a coincidence. Folks, there are no coincidences in this world. There's no coincidence that I'm here and you're hearing my voice, whether it be during the live or after the fact. Like, it's not a coincidence, all right? There's a reason that you're hearing this stuff, probably because you have to, or somebody that you know needs to, and you need to share this with them, all right? I'm not saying I'm a prophet. I'm not saying I'm a guru. I'm just a dude that connects dots. And I've been seeing this stuff for years and years and years, and watching the pressure valves, like the needle, just start to go a little bit more, a little bit more, a little bit more. And folks, we're almost there. Like, the countdown clock is running out of sand, right? So highly suggest doing a little bit of prep, get enough water for it, right? Get some things to protect yourself. All right. Bows and arrows are great. Pew-pews are awesome. Booty traps, all kinds of stuff, get food, get stuff that'll last, right? Walkie-talkies, ham radios, solar generators, things that, even if you live in a big city, clear out a fucking closet. I've got many friends that are comics that live in major cities, and they're like, well, I don't really have a ton of space for this, that, and the other. And I tell them, clear out a closet and fill it with food and fucking water. Because even if you can lock yourself in your apartment and wait out the riots, at least you'll have enough to get you by until you can safely make it out. Folks, something's coming. something's coming. I've only hinted at it and suggested, over the years and said, well, keep your eyes open. Oh, this is crazy. I know. Well, look at this fact. Look at this fact. That's where I've always I've safely landed, right? Because they didn't have to commit to anything with people. And they would just sit there and go, well, Sean, he just got some funny notions, that guy, right? Folks, I'm telling you to your face, dead straight, some shit's getting ready to go down. It really is. It's going down now. Like that. That's just the fact. All right. Now, I'm coming from a place where I'm country educated, which means I have common sense. I was brought up with it. All right. Still an idiot, but that was burned into my brain. All right. So I have a country upbringing, but I've also been, educated at the master's level at an Ivy League plus school. All right. I'm an educated guy, and I'm telling you this not to pat myself on the back or toot my horn, just to tell you that I know enough to look around and go, some shit's going on, guys. So prepare yourself. All right. And if you believe in prayer, pray for yourselves and pray for others. All right. So I want to say all that, guys. This message comes to you with love from me, for the Blurred Lines podcast, from JG's network. Check out all the different, podcasts that are on here, especially Sean Shank Redemption podcast, Stardom, anything with evolution, Patrick Gone, Two Old Goats. I mean, there's just so many good things on this network. Check them out. Don't forget to hit up all my sponsors and use the code Shank15 with any of them, SHANK15, and you'll get discounts. But until next time, guys, make sure that you are keeping your head on a swivel and that you are trying to keep your eyes looking through the blurred lines to see what the hell's going on behind the scenes.